Okay, now I have the results here, and if on the relative frequency, if I wanted to convert those to percentages, I just have to multiply by 100%. Right, which would just move the decimal place too. So this would be 26.2%. This guy would be 42.7%. And this would be 31.1%. And the reason it's a 0.1 and not 0 is when we're rounding, all right, if I run around to this decimal place, I go to the next one. If that's 5 or bigger, then I round the next decimal place up. I add 1. And a 6 is 5 or bigger, so I'm going to change that 0 to a 1, all right? And I add all these up, this is going to be 100%. This it puts it up here in StatCrunch, but this is 103, and this will add up to 1. So that's my frequency table. All right, so, and frequency tables are great. They give us all the information we need, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if I really want to get a good feel for, what kind of proportions are in each of these groups, a graphical display is better, all right? So I started these bar graphs. So again, bar graphs can be done in StatCrunch, but I wanted to do it by hand first. So we're gonna do it for this set, all right? So, so with a bar graph, the categories go down here. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna have, conservative, neither, and liberal. So here are my categories. This is my variable. My variable is political leaning. All right. And over here, I'm going to put my count, or the number of students. This is going to be frequency over here. All right, so my frequency, I've got 27, 44, and 32. So because my biggest number is 44, if I kind of round it up to tens, it's like 50. So I created like 5 bars over here, anticipating that I want my biggest one to be 50, all right? And I have to have 0 at the bottom. Some graphs you don't have to include 0, but for a bar graph you do. So I got 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 students, all right? There are 27 students who said they were conservative. So I'm going to create a bar here, and I'm going to have its height be 27. All right, 44 neither. All right, so I'm going to create a bar here, and I'm going to make its height 44. All right, so here, and I want the width to be about the same for each bar. We're going to let software do this, so it'll definitely keep the widths exactly the same. And then liberal, I've got 32, so just a little bit more here. 32. All right. So you can see that quickly by the graph, I'd have to read each number to get this information, but you can look quickly and say, oh, okay, the most frequent choice was neither. They're neither conservative nor liberal. They're in the middle. All right, lots of people in there. So, and in your class. And then these two, approximately the same. They're both around 30%. So, one's a little bit more. All right, we can also do the same graph. I'm going to put my categories here, political leaning, but use percent instead. Now, there's 103 people, so dividing by 103 is similar to dividing by 100. So I'm still going to have the same type of, this is going to be percent. This just happens to be 10, 20. So my biggest percent was 43, so we're going to use 40, 50, all right? But now I'm going to use the percent. So I've got 26%. That's like a little over half. And then 43%, so there's right in here. And for liberals, 31%. Okay. And you can see the shape is about the same, you know, it kind of goes up and down about the same amount. Well, they're proportional to each other. And even if these percentages were different or these counts were in the hundreds, this would still, they would look approximately the same because all I'm doing here is just changing the scale. All right, remember I divided each one of these numbers to get to this frequency by 103. So this area of this particular bar is going to be proportional, or the area of these three bars is going to be proportional to the area of those three bars. And all of those areas are proportional to this distribution of this variable. All right. Now, bar graphs are flexible. I do not have to include every category. So if my intention was only to compare the conservatives and the liberal, I can just put those in there. So I've got 26.2% conservative. So here I'm just going to have conservative and liberal. And I made this one shorter because of those two, the biggest one was 31%. So I'm just going to use 30% here. So 10, 20, 30. All right. So the first one was 26.2. It's going to be about here. Again, I have to have 0 at the bottom. Liberals, 31.1. And that kind of gives me a feel for that there's a little bit higher percentage of liberals in our classes than conservatives.